the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
And good evening to you here at 11 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. Hundreds of Central Indiana businesses have been able to keep serving their customers and paying their employees thanks to coronavirus relief efforts.
But some have struggled to get the same assistance. WRTV's Cameron Riddle explains some of the barriers to aid and how the Indy Black Chamber of Commerce says it can help.
Closed for part of the pandemic and struggling to bring customers back, Stacy and Rick's Soul Food on the east side may not make it into 2021. And owner Rick Fowler told me last month he's been denied for multiple loans and grants.
They promised that once we closed down that we were getting the unforgiven loans, which I never received. I actually even talked to someone at Governor Holcomb's office, and they said the money was in the pipeline. Where is the end of the pipeline?
Larry Williams Jr. is the president of the Indy Black Chamber and says Stacy and Rick's is not the only restaurant struggling after trying to get financial help.
When they have applied for the EDIL loan, if their credit is not above 640, they're getting denied. And we have over 150 people who have applied for the EDIL loan, and their credit didn't match up, so they got denied.
Williams says the Economic Industry Disaster Loan from the Small Business Administration is one of several programs many small and Black-owned businesses are missing out on. Williams says the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to help businesses pay their employees during the pandemic, requires businesses to provide their workers with a W-2. That means businesses that rely on contractors or pay workers in cash are ineligible.
Another reason why they got denied for the PPP loan was they were not profitable. And usually the first 5 years of your company, you're not profitable. You know, you're just kind of staying afloat.
Back at Stacy and Rick's, Fowler thought some of the loans he applied for would automatically be forgiven. Williams says that is true, but on paper, it still has to look as if the business can pay the loan back. Those without profits or employees without W-2s can't show that. Williams says that's why the Black Chamber is asking city leaders to issue money to them so the chamber can cater to the unique needs of Black-owned businesses.
We're here to help the Black community, you know, because as these Black businesses grow, they hire Black people. And as Black people get good jobs, and you know they no longer rent, they start buying homes, and once they buy homes, they invest into their community. And as the Black community grows, Indianapolis grows as a whole. And you know, so that's what we're out here preaching to everyone and asking for support.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
The mayor's office told us the city does not fund the operation of the Indy Chamber, but it does contract the chamber for several COVID relief programs. They gave us a breakdown of each. The Indy Chamber says 28% of its rapid response loans went to Black-owned businesses. 38% of the PPP loans it helped administer went to Black-owned businesses, and 15% of the Ready to Restart grants have gone to Black-owned businesses. The Restart grants help businesses pay for protective equipment and other safety measures. And the Indy Black Chamber was one of the Indy Chamber's outreach partners for this program.
New at 11 and working for you, WRTV is getting answers for Hoosiers who are running into a new roadblock when applying for unemployment. Many people collecting pandemic unemployment assistance say they are suddenly having an eligibility issue after filling out a voucher. PUA provides benefits to those not eligible for regular unemployment. WRTV reached out to the Department of Workforce Development. In a statement, officials say the department added a question on the PUA weekly unemployment insurance vouchers to help identify fraud, but the question has created some confusion. According to the statement, the department is reviewing claimant answers and will cancel all issues where there appears to be confusion. They say the issue is expected to be resolved by midweek.
The fall semester started today at several major universities in Indiana, including IU, Purdue, IUPUI, and Ball State. It is a much different atmosphere this year. Instead of crowds of students rushing to class in Bloomington and West Lafayette, They kept their distance on campus, and most were wearing masks. The universities are taking several safety precautions, including staggering classes, providing hand sanitizer, limiting classroom capacity, and even holding some classes outside. One Boilermaker tells WRTV she's happy with the way the Purdue community is handling the return to campus.
Personally, I have not seen any resistance to this. Most of the people around have been wearing masks. I've seen a couple in the back streets not, but I think as a university, we've done a really outstanding job at following the guidelines. Obviously, we want to finish out the semester here and be able to continue on with our education.
Classes at Butler also started today. Now, we told you yesterday administrators made a last-minute decision to start the semester virtually, so students are on campus.
WRTV is working for you, getting local perspective on a COVID-19 treatment that's in the spotlight. Yesterday, the Food and Drug Administration granted an emergency use authorization for convalescent plasma. The treatment separates plasma from the blood of someone who has recovered from COVID-19. The blood gets pumped back into the donor's body, and the plasma can be used on a patient who has COVID-19. Dr. Nicholas Peros, the medical director of transplant and infectious diseases at IU Health, says the treatment is one of many being studied.
In terms of the mortality benefit, it's difficult to know which one of the interventions that we're doing is actually giving the major advantage to the patients, and it's perhaps even a combination of them that is giving advantage to the patient. So it's really difficult to pinpoint which one is giving this impact.
And at least one Central Indiana patient credits convalescent plasma with helping save his life. Dave Falkenberg spent a month in the hospital. At one point, he was in a coma, and he's grateful doctors gave him the plasma treatment option.
It was the treatment that got me over this. It brought me back to where I would feel better and my body could overcome this. What I like people at home know is that it is so important that we all get involved. If you can be a donor, I would highly recommend that. There's nothing better than helping somebody else out. It always comes back to help you out.
The FDA says approval is not the same as authorization, and this is not a cure. The goal is to gather more information and more plasma, and there's still a lot of data to collect on the treatment, including putting it through randomized controlled clinical trials.
A Central Indiana woman wants to raise awareness about what she calls a major problem along the Monon Trail after her husband's bike ride ended with broken bones and major organ damage. She's sharing her story with WRTV's Stephanie Wade in hopes of helping prevent future tragedies.
Katie Sweeney's husband, Jack, rides his bike along the Monon Trail every night. But last Wednesday evening, he never made it home. She received a call from the hospital that he had been hit by a motorcycle.
When I saw him, I just fell to the ground crying. Sorry, I'm probably going to start getting emotional.
Jack was crossing 38th Street as part of the Monon Trail detour at Winthrop, while DPW builds a new bridge carrying the trail over 38th to improve safety. He was hit by a motorcyclist, leaving him with 2 collapsed lungs, a compound fracture in his femur, his spleen removed, 4 broken ribs, and the list goes on. He was even on the ventilator at one point. His wife saying this isn't the first crash she's seen on the Monon Trail. She feels the signage isn't very clear, alerting drivers to watch for pedestrians.
I mean, obviously nobody's walking out or biking out into oncoming traffic on purpose. And then a car just comes barreling around the corner. 52nd is terrible as a driver as well. You can't see past the bushes. You can't see when there's people coming.
Calling for stop signs to be added or any signage to tell drivers that cyclists and pedestrians have the right of way before any more people get hurt. Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
Per Indiana law, motorists should always yield to the right-of-way to the trail users. DPW says many of the Monon Trail intersections include signs or flashing signals. There's also signage notifying cyclists and pedestrians of the upcoming intersection. Though pedestrians do have the right-of-way, there are signs encouraging them to stop as a precaution.
Indigo riders, your bus stop may be changing. The transit system has been studying how many people get on and off at each of its stops. The results will lead to consolidations, moves, and additions. Part of the goal is to space out stops that are too close together to help make routes more efficient. An Indigo spokesperson says out of the system's 3,385 stops, 554 will be impacted. Riders will begin seeing stickers on affected bus stops as soon as August 31st. Changes will begin as soon as September 14th.
President Trump formally received the renomination for a second term on day one of the Republican National Convention. ABC's Andrew Dimbert reports the theme of the opening night was honoring the great American story.
President Donald Trump formally renominated Monday to top the Republican ticket in 2020 on the first day of the Republican National Convention. The GOP opening their scaled-back convention with ramped-up attacks on Democrats. In a surprise speech to kick off the convention, Trump laying in on his opponents.
They are trying to steal the election, just like they did it last time with spying, and we caught them, and that included President Obama, and that included, let's be nice, Biden.
Convention officials say the week will underscore optimism within the Republican Party with the theme honoring the great American story.
This is our story. We journey together.
Other speakers for opening night include party staples like Senator Tim Scott and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
This president has a record of strength and success. The former vice president has a record of weakness and failure.
There's also outspoken conservative Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, the president's son Donald Trump Jr., and even Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the St. Louis couple who pointed guns at Black Lives Matter protesters near their home. The Republicans' big week follows the Democratic convention last week. The RNC different in not just party, but presentation. The GOP hosting a mix of in-person and digital events across North Carolina and Washington, D.C., with some 300 delegates gathering in Charlotte. As the coronavirus reshapes the 2020 election, President Trump taking the party's primetime programming to separate himself from Joe Biden, who has rarely left his home state of Delaware since the pandemic hit.
This base doesn't like Joe Biden. They don't like Joe Biden. I think we're going to get a lot of votes.
But in an exclusive interview, Biden telling ABC's David Muir he's not just sitting back.
So when you hear the president say this guy's afraid to leave his basement,
guess what? I have left my basement, but here, in the meantime, 500 million people have watched what I've done out of my basement. And guess what? People are listening. People are listening. It's about being responsible.
And President Trump will officially accept his party's nomination for the White House from the White House on Thursday. But the president is also expected to be a part of this convention every night moving forward. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Here we go again. Very warm and humid tomorrow. 93 the high. How that changes late in the week.
Also still ahead, IU Health is taking efforts to virtually hire Hoosiers. How you can interview for a job from your home and possibly get an offer on the spot.
And bubble burst. What's next for the Pacers after failing to win a playoff game in Orlando? The Pacers have spent the past 6 weeks in Orlando playing inside the NBA bubble, but their extended stay in Florida came to an end tonight. Unable to come up with a win against the Miami Heat, Brad Brown has a look at Game 4 as the Pacers are swept out of the playoffs.
On a must-win night, the Pacers got off to a solid start. Malcolm Brogdon closed out the opening quarter with a short jumper. Pacers had a 1-point lead after 12 minutes. Miami with the advantage in the second. Bam Adebayo with the jam from the offensive rebound. That would be a theme in the game. The Heat up 6 at halftime. Pacers hanging close in the third. Victor Oladipo's three-pointer with a couple minutes to go cut the margin to 4. After the Pacers were down 11. Vic led the scoring with 25 points. Miles Turner played his best game of the series on Monday night. Nice movement for the slam on this play, part of a 22-point, 14-rebound night. Pacers trying to make another late charge after being down by 12. TJ Warren with 3 and the foul. He scored 22. But too many second chances for Miami. Pacers get a good stop on this possession, but Tyler Hero scrambles for the rebound, scores on the putback, 16 points off the bench. Miami sweeps with a 99-87 win. The Pacers just unable to put together a good game among any of the 4 in the series.
Coming down here to this bubble, I thought we had everybody when we came down, and Domas got injured and wasn't able to play in any of these games, and it was just a tough adjustment for us.
I just think that the way they play, I think they outworked us in a sense for the most part, and especially playoff time, that can't happen.
Yeah, I think they just made big plays down the stretch. On possession, it was like 3 offensive rebounds and we didn't get them, and then Tyler Hero got a layup that definitely killed us. So they played 4 great games. They won 4 different ways. So we got to do a better job. Use this as fuel for the offseason and come back better. I know I will.
This marks the 5th straight year the Pacers have been eliminated in the first round of the postseason, swept 3 of the last 4. We'll see what the team looks like when the next season rolls around, which for now looks to be happening around December 1st. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Well, despite the disappointing outcome, the Game 4 experience will be memorable for some fans. The Pacers and Indians teamed up to host a watch party at Victory Field. The pandemic canceled the Indians season. The team's president and general manager says that while that has been difficult, it has given the organization an opportunity to host creative and special events at the ballpark. Pacers fans say mission accomplished.
I think it's awesome. This is great. We love Victory Field anyway. It's a nice venue.
It's a great place to see a sporting event, apparently regardless of the sport.
I'm just really glad I got to have a beer and a hot dog at Victory Field in 2020.
Does sound good. Proceeds from the watch party will benefit youth programs supported by Indiana Sports Corp. Kevin.
I like that idea, right? Watching basketball in a baseball stadium. I'm watching this. If you want to have a watch party tomorrow, temperatures that start above 70 in the morning will move to 93 in Indy. It's still at this hour with the humidity very high, 80 degrees in Muncie, 76 in Indy. Next 2 days, temperatures in the 70s in the morning, 90 to 94 in the afternoon. The humidity goes nowhere this week, but our temperature will come back down Thursday and Friday as the rain chances increase. What is Tropical Storm Laura tonight becomes a hurricane and will curve once making landfall around anywhere between Houston and New Orleans, will curve, come close to the Ohio River. That will increase our chance for rain late in the week into the early part of the weekend. Notice nothing happens with the humidity until later Saturday and Sunday. Then we'll notice the humidity really start to drop. Tomorrow, warmest day of the week, 93 for the high, 92 and dry with lots of sunshine Wednesday. Scattered thunderstorms developing on the Thursday, 40% chance you'll have those. There are the temperatures expected tomorrow. There will be some isolated thunderstorms. A couple of those could be strong to the north and east of Indy. Watch what happens first thing in the morning. Not much. By the time we get to mid-morning and then early afternoon, thunderstorms cutting through the northeastern portion of the state. We'll wait and see whether they drop any more to the south, but right now looks like it stays primarily out of central Indiana. 92, that's your temperature as we go to Wednesday. More thunderstorms means lower temperatures Thursday and Friday. Friday's high 85. Chance of thunderstorms a little higher Saturday morning. And notice we may replace lows in the 70s that we'll have the next couple of nights with lows in the upper 50s to low 60s by the weekend. That will be a comfortable change.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to career opportunities, and IU Health is taking a new approach to fill nursing positions. Nurses have been in high demand, and the pandemic has made those positions even more critical in hospitals across the country. For the first time, IU Health is hosting a virtual hiring fair for nurses. There are openings for several hundred registered nurses across IU's system of hospitals. And this week, they are working to staff job openings at Methodist and University hospitals. Those are in downtown. And candidates can sign up for a 30-minute interview with hiring managers. And if they are a good fit, IU Health will be making job offers on the spot.
been able to avoid any workforce reductions or furloughs like I know some other systems have experienced. So we've been actively hiring throughout, and if anything, we're trying to staff up because we want to support our community. And we don't know what the fall will bring, but every nursing role filled is a way that we can best care for patients.
There are full and part-time positions available, as well as opportunities across the different units at Methodist and University hospitals. This is the first virtual hiring event, and IU Health is planning more in the future. It starts tomorrow and goes through Thursday. There are still time slots available to sign up for this opportunity. Check out this story on hiringhoosiers.com.
Music and entertainment venues in Marion County are getting some extra financial help. 17 independent businesses will receive funding from the Music City Strategy Recovery Program, including Chatterbox, Burnside Inn, the Jazz Kitchen, and the Vogue. Many live music venues have not been able to operate for several months and counting due to the public health orders related to COVID-19. This funding comes from the CARES Act. Each venue will receive about $7,400. We'll be right back with more of WRTV News. Parents and guardians may be starting to consider getting out of the house and leaving the kids with a babysitter, but should COVID be a concern? Our partners at Newsy take that question to experts.
As the school year starts, you might be wondering about the risks of getting sick with COVID-19. We asked the experts, how risky is getting a babysitter? Their take, the risk of contracting COVID-19 from a babysitter is low risk.
Having one individual person who is, again, perhaps part of your individual quarantine bubble might make less of a risk factor for you if you're comfortable with that than having different babysitters.
I would actually have the babysitter, outside, instead of having it at night, maybe taking your break, in the afternoon where you could say the babysitter for the next 2 hours, you guys are over at the park where it's outdoors and out of the house, and then you and your spouse can take a break as opposed to actually having them indoors.
That risk is one that's hard to really categorize. I would say variable. If you have an established relationship with a routine babysitter and can work into your agreement that the babysitter is going to do their part to mitigate their risk. So I think it really depends on the babysitter, honestly.
For more answers on what is low, medium, or high risk, visit newsy.com/what's the risk.
First Lady Melania Trump is marking the 100th anniversary of women gaining the right to vote with an art exhibit featuring children's artwork. Mrs. Trump unveiled the project today. Students from all 50 states and the District of Columbia are represented. Caroline Bone, an 8th grader at St. Jude Catholic School in Indianapolis, is representing the Hoosier State with her artwork called The Long March to Be Heard. She explains why the female figures in her picture appear larger and larger.
The size variation was to kind of symbolize how they're like rising, into power. And I put the flag in the background because it's obviously took place in America, and just put the flag. And then, feminism and the suffrage is all about not women being better than men, but about being equal to men. So that's why I included the equal sign between the different symbols for the genders.
The exhibit is called Building the Movement. America's youth celebrate 100 years of women's suffrage. And you can see all of the artwork in an online gallery. It really looks great, Kevin.
Creative. Temperatures tomorrow up into the low to mid 90s. We stay dry most areas.
Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news.